Live from the happiest place in the Lone Star State, welcome back to the Talking Mickey Project. TMP is your home for Disney fans of all abilities. Now, it's your host, Emma.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Michael, my dad is here. He is in a live chat. Apparently, he's not feeling well right now. He has a little bit of a headache.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Mary. And we said hi to Elizabeth. I saw Elizabeth earlier. Now, there's Jonathan. There's our buddy Jonathan. Welcome to Talking Mickey Project YouTube channel. Hi, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
How are you? You've been busy on Facebook the last few days. And then saying hi to everybody. Hi, Skipper Mom. I'll take Skipper Mom. Hey, there's Grandma. Hi,
Grandma. That we're about to see in almost a month.
If it's the Lone Star State, let's get it to a friend star. Well, Texas is one of the friendliest states in the Union. I do say so myself. So, don't we have to welcome people? What's the runner show? Remember?
What if you comment out with Jonathan?
Right.
Pocket handles. Okay, sponsor. With a great to make Cricket Lightfoot for her historical trip sponsorship. Miss Cricket Lightfoot is our
travel planner.
Disney travel agent planner. If you're planning your next Walt Disney World trip, Disneyland trip, or cruising, or around the world stuff.
Around the world stuff, that's right.
Go to Whitener.Cricket at gmail.com.
Okay.
Is that right?
Okay. Our next sponsor?
Is
our buddy. What is this?
This is my dear friend Rod Jr.'s Kind Cafe, where he grew coffee.
He roasts his own coffee. He roasts it in small batches, and they're selling it on bossabilityinc.org/store. Bossability Inc. is another nonprofit that Junior is helping, and that we're also promoting by promoting Junior's Kind Note Cafe coffee, which is very yummy.
Yeah.
It's very yummy. And next is
your podcast.
What's my podcast about? It's called Beyond Disability Texas, and right now I'm in the process of setting up interviews with other parents, talk about the process of getting your special needs child, young or adult, the services they need. And we're also going to be talking with some other organizations here in San Antonio, Bexar County, specifically about what's available for those who live in Texas. So I'm getting those lined up, and hopefully soon we'll be recording those. So, and that was thanks to the push. It was more like a shove from Skipper Dad and Emma, and I appreciate it. I really do. I had to get
motivated.
That's right. I had to be motivated. And then we do what? We thank your Patreon supporters. And we'll have a Q&A on the last Sunday of the month when you become a Patreon supporter, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So what's coming up next? What are our next shows?
This Saturday night, is our live trivia night of the Living Seas at Epcot. That's the one with me of the original. For all of y'all who grew up with that. And the next Wednesday and Thursday, I think, is my special area part 1 and 2 with Mr. Daniel, aka Disneyland. He recently did a reading. He just did a goofy costume revamp video. So go check it out, guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this interview because I heard I was downstairs while they were doing it, and there was a lot of laughing going on. So it sounded like a very lively conversation, a lively interview. So, who do we have tonight? Thank you. The Living Sea sounds fishy. It does. Does it smell fishy? Hi, Dennis. Good morning. We are doing 13 of you and your dad's vacation. Thank you, Monica, for sharing.
And thank you, Michael.
Oh, Miranda Wolf's laughing at something. Is Miranda new? I haven't seen that name yet. I think Miranda needs a first visit button.
Mom, she has with her last few times.
Oh, she has. See, they pay more attention than I do. Usually I'm so busy talking.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pete McDivitt. That's right.
Daddy, can you bring it up? Thank you. Go up to Pete McDivitt.
It's McDivitt.
Okay,
go ahead.
He recently did what was it, Daddy? 2,000 views?
2 million.
2 million views?
2 million views.
On his video.
On his channel.
So congratulations to Mr. Pete.
Yes, awesome. That's an awesome job.
For getting a milestone on his channel.
That's right. Congratulations, Pete, from the Talking Mickey Project. And he'll be on here live on Wednesday, March the 9th. We'll be starting at 7:30 that night because he has something before then. So to accommodate Pete, we're going to start at 7:30 Central Time on March the 9th, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm ready for this interview to come up.
Yeah.
And who did you and Daddy talk to?
Mr. Kevin Lively.
And who is Mr. Kevin Lively?
He is a former Imagineer for the Walt Disney Company.
Right.
He helped work on the new thing for the Jungle Cruise and helped direct the Muppet Card Making Special on Disney Plus.
That's right. And he tells all those stories and more in his. I watched it with Daddy today while he was doing some editing. Yeah. And very, very few edits, and did a wonderful job. So let's share it with everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy the video, guys.
So what do y'all do? 1, 2,
I'm
3.
Mr. Kevin Lively.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing it. Well, how do you want to get started? You want to go with number 1?
Yeah.
All right. We have those 15 questions. We'll put them up on the screen. Okay. So here is number 1.
What is your earliest Disney-related memory?
Well, let me see. I grew up in Southern California, and so going to Disneyland a lot when I was a kid. And I still have some of those pictures. So I think Disneyland's going to be my earliest Disney-related memory. Let me see. I still have a picture of me wearing my my Captain EO shirt in front of the Matterhorn. So that's a
yeah.
Captain EO was a lot of, it came out when I was just the perfect age. Michael Jackson was the biggest star in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad, bless his heart, would always take me to go see Captain EO. But he's blind in one eye, so 3D doesn't work for him. So he would take me to see a 3D movie because he knew I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then as everything's popping out, he's like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm not sure what the big deal is, but it's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's my earliest memory is going to Disneyland. But I think the first Disney movie I saw in theaters was Oliver and Company. So it kind of tells you how old I am.
There you go.
Oh.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Those are some great memories. All right. You ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's number 2.
What made you decide to become a cast member at Disneyland?
Well, like I said, I grew up going to Disneyland, and so I always had a love for it. But it was around the time after high school and when I was in junior college that I think I wanted to start working towards becoming an Imagineer. So in my head, it only made sense that if I wanted to work for Imagineering, I would need to start at Disneyland. Only to find out years later that isn't very common. That doesn't happen all the time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, of all the other writers, only Dave Fisher had also worked in the parks. Well, Kevin Rafferty too, but he had since moved on into a different role. And so it's not super common that you see a lot of Imagineers coming directly from the parks. However, I decided that was the perfect route for me to go. And so after I finished junior college, I transferred to Cal State Fullerton, which is right down the street from Disneyland. They call it Cal State Disneyland. And so a lot of cast members go to school there. And so that's ultimately why I wanted to become a Disneyland cast member, was to eventually work my way to Imagineering.
Yeah, see, that makes sense to me, but I didn't realize that wasn't that common route, huh?
Yeah, it was surprising to me too.
Well, that's interesting. What do you think? We've only been to Disneyland once, and that was back in November 2019.
Yeah.
But we're ready to go back. Emma did the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour and all the rest, so she just loves the history.
Wow.
So that's one of those things that is definitely on the list to get back to, huh? Yeah, definitely.
Such a beautiful park.
All right, you ready for number 3? Okay, here's number 3.
What are some of your favorite memories of being a skipper on the world-famous Jungle Cruise?
So I got to do a lot of crazy cool things when I was a Jungle Cruise skipper. Like they sent me to Tokyo to represent Walt's original Jungle Cruise at a big gathering of skippers.
Wow.
But like the differences had nothing to do with that. Like my very first celebrity guest I ever had, it was a week after I got signed off on Jungle Cruise, and I was at unload, and I move up to what they call no man's land, which is the area between unload and load, and that's where they load the VIP guests. Okay. And so they said, hold it up. So I stopped, and they loaded this family into my boat. I didn't recognize anybody. Granted, I'm not good with celebrities, especially like, the hipper, cooler, trendy celebrities. I can't recognize them. I guess I'm just old. And so they loaded this up, and they had me load up the rest of the boat, which is not very common. A lot of celebrities try to get their own boat, but this one, we loaded up the entire boat, and I'm doing my spiel and I'm telling my jokes. And as we leave the dock, I look the guy next to me. I'm like, that guy looks like Billy Crystal. And then about 10 feet later, I'm like, that guy who looks like Billy Crystal is wearing a Yankees hat. About 10 feet later, I was like, Billy Crystal just threw out the first pitch at a Yankees game. And then like right after that, I realized, oh my goodness, I have Billy Crystal next to me as my first. This is a week after I got signed off on Jungle Cruise, and I have my first VIP, and it's a comedy legend. So I'm over there telling, and he's filming me with his camcorder. So somewhere I'm in Billy Crystal's home videos. Brand new skipper Kevin. And so, that my very first VIP cruise, super memorable, and also my very last VIP cruise, my last day working Jungle Cruise before going to Imagineering, they let me have what we would call the dock princess job, which is where you hang out on the dock and you do whatever you want. You can hop in the boat, you help guests out. You're still working, but it's the easiest, most laid back. And so it was like my last day there, and we had a group come up, and it was Tony Baxter, who knew me from my Tokyo competition and everything. And he was there with the guys playing BJ Novak and Jason Schwartzman, who were playing the Sherman Brothers and Saving Mr. Banks,
Wow,
and a couple
yeah.
other cast members. And he was giving his Tony Baxter tour of Disneyland. And Tony comes up, he's like, "Hey, are you taking out boats?" And I said, "For you, absolutely." And so my very last VIP cruise was Tony Baxter and some of the cast of Saving Mr. Banks, including Jason Schwartzman, who's in my favorite movie of all time called Rushmore. And so after the cruise, I said, "Oh, today's my last day. I'm joining you in Glendale." And I got like all the cast members congratulated me and stuff. It was a super cool last
really
VIP
is.
jungle cruise.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I'm sure there were a lot of great memories in between too.
Many, yeah.
How long did you do it?
About 5 years.
Okay, so yeah, for a while. That's pretty cool.
So I got to work with some amazing skippers over the years, and I'll always have memories of them. But it's we took out the guy who was writing the Tim Allen, Tom Hanks version of the Jungle Cruise movie that was never made. We gave him a tour of everything. We had the Paris ambassadors come work Jungle Cruise for a day.
Wow.
I worked when you work Jungle Cruise, you also work Tiki Room, and we used to have the holiday parties at night where they would close down the park for the cast members, and they would have like free food, and all the executives would work on attractions. And an executive from Marvel, who's become a friend of mine over the years, I was hosting him at Tiki Room, helping him show, like this is how you do it, kind of like chaperoning, shadowing him. But he got Bob Iger to come in and watch his Tiki Room spiel, so I got to see Bob come in and watch the first number of the Tiki Room before he left to go schmooze everybody else.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, some really fun little memories.
I guess do you think from your experience, is it very different working it in Disneyland versus, another park, Disney World or anywhere else?
There's one thing I discovered when I was working Jungle Cruise and they sent me to Tokyo, at least from the Jungle Cruise aspect, I can speak to that, is that the Jungle Cruise skipper mentality and attitude and friendship and sense of family knows no bounds. There's no borders on that. There was a time where when we were in Tokyo, we were talking with some other, we had skippers from Hong Kong, skippers from Florida with us, and we're talking to a bunch of Tokyo skippers. And one of the skippers asked, "Do you guys pull a lot of pranks? Are you guys famous for jokes and pranks on the dock?" And my response was, well, back in the day, Jungle Cruise skippers were known for that. They used to do some crazy things, but we can't get away with that stuff anymore because safety standards have changed and just everything around that. But I said, but we're always getting pressure from the older generations of skippers that we should act up and pull pranks and be crazy. And so after I said that, it gets translated into Japanese. And then every single one of their heads turns and it looks at one of their managers. And come to find out, that manager was one of the opening day skippers in Tokyo, who, like back in the day, used to take a surfboard to the top of Schweitzer Falls. And so it was the same exact thing. So, there's this weird Jungle Cruise alternate reality that happens on all these satellite locations that are otherwise not connected, but it has like the same history and cadence. It was really cool.
Yeah, you wonder, people's senses of humor are different, I guess, or at least I would assume they would be around the country or around the world. But
skippers are skippers, no matter where you are.
There you go. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go, Bo.
Have you always been interested in storytelling?
So I started telling, I was a horrible student in school. I'll be the first to admit it. And one part in school I was always horrible at, and I'm still horrible at to this day, is math. Because with math, there's a way of doing the problem and finding the answer. However, when it comes to English and history and pretty much any other topic, I was able to write my way into the right answer. Even if I didn't know it, I could still kind of finagle and kind of twist everything and kind of, I'd get more points. Yeah. So I was able to kind of finagle that and work the school system that way. Even though I didn't know the exact answer, I could still kind of, spin it. So that's when I started doing more and more writing. I realized that I had a knack for that, because certainly I did not have a knack for geometry. And then from there, I was also in high schools when I got involved with theater. So I was doing the school plays and the musicals and everything. And then once I graduated, started doing community theater, and our little town actually has a pretty vibrant theater scene. We had like one of the first theaters in the country that operated solely off of donations.
Okay.
It was a little black box theater, and they gave me and 2 other kids straight out of high school like a late night slot, and we went in and we did the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged, which is a really fun comedy review about Shakespeare. And then we went in there and we nailed it. My cohorts on that were fantastic. And so again, you kind of get hooked with that storytelling acting bug. And from there, I went into directing kids youth theater.
Oh, okay.
And I did my best to. I wanted to get the kids excited for theater. If you're not familiar with children's theater, at least when I was doing it, a bulk of the scripts are horribly written. They're not good. And so I would encourage my kids. I'm like, let's have some fun with it. I wanted them to get excited and take ownership. And those kids, they're now grown up. When I directed The Hobbit, I had a bunch of dwarves and stuff, and 2 of those dwarves are now married with their own kids and doing their own thing. Yeah. And so my friendships have lasted from, my theater background and my storytelling background. And so it's something that's always kind of just been part of my life.
That's really cool. We have a theater that we went to. I guess you judge everything nowadays before COVID, after COVID. Mm-hmm. Before that, we went to a Christmas. It was can't think of the name of it, but it was kind of a
Magic Theater.
Yeah, the Magic Theater here we live in San Antonio, and it was kind of a version of
the Christmas Carol.
The Christmas Carol, but it was a little different. But we were so impressed with what they did and how they did it and the way it was all done and how they played multiple parts. And at the end of it, they went out front and, and met everybody, that was there in the audience and took photos. And it was a really great experience. And we had never been to anything like that before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's neat. It's right downtown.
That's awesome.
2 or 3 blocks from the Alamo, actually. So that's pretty neat. But
I remember that.
It's a great opportunity to do something like that in the community, huh? Yeah. All righty. You have any follow-ups, or you may go to the next one?
I remember watching a YouTube video back from 2009.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's in Disneyland or Disney World, I think you were in it.
Really?
Yeah.
About what? What was the video about?
Jungle Cruise, remember?
Oh, about Jungle Cruise.
That famous video from 2009.
Okay. Well, it could be.
I did a lot of videos for Jungle Cruise for both internal and external stuff. And actually, when my brother got his job at Disneyland, he sent me a message from his orientation. He's like, I just saw you on my orientation video.
No, that's not a standard to live up to, huh? Yeah. It's like, be like this guy. It's in the video. That's cool. All righty. Are you ready? Okay, here's number 5.
You wrote the story for Hyperspace Mountain. How did you approach new storytelling for an existing attraction?
That's right.
So Hyperspace Mountain was a really fun project. It was originally pitched by Imagineers Josh Shipley, Brian Crosby, and Jim Clark. So they were the ones who came up with the initial idea and the name Hyperspace Mountain. And the name alone sells it. It's like the perfect name for it. Yeah. Projects gets handed off to other people in Imagineering. And so it came to our little small team. We were working on Seasons of the Forest stuff. And so we were, trying to figure out, like, what is that story for Hyperspace Mountain? Because it is easy. You can just go in there and put in John Williams music, because John Williams is amazing, and you're going to have an amazing product at the end. But what are those other things you can put in? But in the case of Hyperspace Mountain, they actually took us up to Lucas up in San Francisco, and we got a whole tour of everything, and we got to see all the cool technology. I got to see old Ghostbuster puppets and stuff like that. It was an amazing experience. But at the end of the day, we're sitting there and we're having conversations about where these stories can lead. And, they're very secretive about what everything, coming up. And I don't remember where it fell as far as like when episode 7 was released. But we knew that we were going to have the Battle of Batuu. And we're like, well, let's go ahead and set Hyperspace Mountain during that. And then, why are guests there? Because that's always a weird situation. We always try to justify why are guests in the situation. So are they taking a tour of the lab, or are they? you know, it's funny because we always kind of go back to the same, like, oh, you're on a tour, or because that's like the easiest low hanging fruit. But like, you know, let's make them pilots. And then, you know, the other weird difference for Hyperspace Mountain, and, you know, tying it to Star Wars, is the shape of the vehicles, because I'm not getting into an X-Wing. I'm getting into a roller coaster train where I don't have the cockpit coming down or anything like that. So we kind of had to just pretend that was there. And also we weren't going in and we weren't, you know, changing out the spaceship above the station or anything like that. So we were trying to find those opportunities where we can progress our story with media, which is always going to be the easiest way to change it out. So having, you know, Admiral Akbar come in with the safety spiel talking about the Battle of Batuu, and you're going to be the reconnaissance vessels, because that was the other thing too, is our roller coaster train, like, they don't have blasters on them. Like, we can't fake that.
Right.
So there's no missiles or anything coming from our ships. But if we're being escorted by X-Wings, there you go. That's where we can have our blasters come in.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, you then talk with your partners. In the case, we worked with Daniel Joseph, our special effects master, who's like the modern day Yale Gracie. And we're like, hey, we want to have blasters. You know, what can we do? Because back in the old days, I think you would just like turn on a laser and turn it off. But when you watch Star Wars, the blaster bolts travel like a bullet.
Right.
And so he was able to figure out how to accomplish that using, you know, latest LED technology and things like that. So it's always a collaborative experience. You can go in there and you want to say, I want to do this, this, and this. You have the biggest dreams possible. And the nice part about working with, you know, the best in the industry is that those crazy ideas can actually happen because the people there have that technical know-how, as Walt would say.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, what you're saying early on about the, you know, how do you get the guest in there, or how do they fit? Why are they there?
Yeah.
It made me think, and I'm sure you know a million stories, but it made me think of the original issue about Snow White, and you were supposed to be Snow White in 19, and nobody got that.
It's pretty abstract.
You're looking for Snow White the whole way through.
Oh, we are making no one.
Yeah, in the original. So it's like that issue, I guess, has always been an issue.
Like White Peter Pan.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a different way of thinking about it. And, yeah, you put a lot of context to it. Thanks for that. That's cool. All right, are you ready for next one? Okay, here you go. There it is. Okay, so this is Jungle Cruise.
You also helped to lead the refresh of the Jungle Cruise. What was that like, since you were an Imagineer and a former skipper?
So that project, it was an honor to work on, because at the end of the day, we were doing a refresh, but we were also refreshing a Walt Disney original attraction. This is something that Walt loved, right? And so everyone working on that project, we knew we needed to go in there and we needed to fix some things. We wanted to plus it. We wanted to leave the show better than it was. Don't just go in there and take things out, but actually go in there and improve it, because that's the spirit of what we do. And when you look at the history of the Jungle Cruise, it has evolved so much since 1955. We had to keep reminding ourselves that it's okay for us to go in there and make changes, because Walt changed the Jungle Cruise, you know, from the serious National Geographic version to bringing in Mark Davis for his gags. So Walt completely changed the tone of the attraction in the first couple years of its existence. So we just had to keep reminding ourselves. But at the same time, when you're working with people like Kim Irvine, who she'll never let anything bad happen to that park. Like, Kim Irvine is like the fairy godmother of Disneyland. She'll protect that place till the bitter end. And so we knew, you know, with having her on the project, that she would keep us in line and keep us on the path of success, you know, because she also worked hand in hand with people like Mark Davis. So with that in mind, we wanted to keep the spirit of Mark Davis and Harper Goff and all that. We wanted to keep it true to what the attraction is. We, you know, there was talks at one point where they're like, well, maybe we'll, you know, like, it's the quest for the missing blank, or, you know, we'll give a call to action. And I'm like, guys, you can't do that with Jungle Cruise, because I call it Captain Rex syndrome, where, you know, on the original Star Tours, you would go there and Captain Rex would raise the cockpit shield and he would always say, it's my first flight, which is funny because you have a robot doing it. but that doesn't work when you have a live person and you saw that person just pull up to load after giving another cruise. So like you can't have that quest for the missing such and such. You just need to keep the original tone of I'm going there, and the story of that Jungle Cruise you're taking is the story that it's the guest story. It's like them going on this crazy, larger than life safari cruise. And so we wanted to make sure we were touching on that. And so it was, like I said, a complete honor to be able to work on that. I had been pitching different ideas for years. I had a big board outside my office door with all these different things about, what I would add and touch and everything to the Jungle Cruise, and, seeing things actually get in there. Our team was so adamant about getting it right and really like delivering on things that we never thought possible, just because we had that can-do attitude. I think the most successful projects that you see are the ones that kind of have that scrappy attitude, like the Muppets, like we're here to put on a show. So if we need to go pull this from there, like in the middle of a field, and bring it in, we're going to do that, because that's going to deliver the best show. There was just so much passion on that project that everyone just, I think, did a phenomenal job.
Now, was that a project that you have to, I don't know how it works in what you guys were doing. Did you have to ask to be part of the team? Did they come to you because they knew your background? How did that?
I had been pitching it for years, and we had different like blue sky efforts that never went anywhere. Some of the ideas got really crazy and out there, and those never came to be, which is fine. But actually, when the refresh got greenlit, I was furloughed, so I wasn't even working. But they brought me back. My boss, my executive Mark at the time, fought to bring me back. He's like, and everyone on the project knew I needed to be part of it because I was the Jungle Cruise guy. Yeah. I had been representing that attraction and updating the spiel and the training and everything for years, being that voice of the skipper within Imagineering. So, it's paperwork and furlough and HR, but they were able to move mountains and bring me back early to work on that project.
That's cool. You have any questions about it? Because you've now written it, right? You've written it a couple times.
No, I did. Now I do know that they brought back, I think, Mark Davis' frog, I believe.
Oh, the frogs?
I think that's only a Disneyland, right?
That's only at Disneyland. So okay. Those frogs didn't last very long originally. Now they're not the same sculpts, I don't think. That was actually an example of us finding frogs somewhere else, and then the team went out there and brought them in and installed them. But it was one of those things that had been on my wish list for years. After learning about them, I'm like, oh yeah, we got to bring back the frogs. And the other one that was on my wish list for years were the man-eating plants. Now, Mark Davis had developed man-eating plants for the Florida Jungle Cruise, and they got as far as being put onto the model. If you look at close-up pictures of the original model for Florida, there's a little teeny tiny man-eating plant there. And so that was something I really, really pushed for. And we got those in with our botanist character. And so when you're walking through the queue, they've been redesigned and everything to really fit the look, less cartoony, because the original looked almost like a Warner Brothers alien. But able to bring in the man-eating plants and other lost Mark Davis gags. Actually, the Latin name that we put onto the cage for the man-eating plants actually translates to late or last laugh or late gag or something like that. Yeah, because it was a forgotten joke that never got installed.
That's cool. Now I was going to mention earlier, Emma and I spent a day in Magic Kingdom, just the two of us, when we were there recently, and we ate lunch at Skipper Canteen. And so did you work on that as well, or how did the stories fit, I guess? Yeah,
I was the writer. I was actually the third writer brought in for Skipper Canteen. I was the first choice, but at the time I was only a contractor. I was a consultant. And so the way HR and everything works out is they had writers who needed work because they had to, fill out their time card. Yeah. So they assigned it to somebody else. And then a month or two into the project, left to go work at Universal. Then they brought in somebody else. They asked for me, but they brought in somebody else. And I don't know why the second person didn't last. I think he might've got pulled to another project. But then finally they were able to bring me in from the outside to oversee that story. So yeah, I've been again, so when it came time for them to refresh Jungle Cruise, because I had so much put into the story already, and also having helped with the film and everything, that was, I like to think, a good choice.
Yeah. Oh no, that was awesome. I mean, the server we had, his name was Robert, and he kind of told us a bunch of the stuff of what was hidden here and what some of the references were. We got a bunch of pictures, and that was what inspired Emma to want to do a trivia recently about it. And thank you again for adding all the information you did.
Oh, my pleasure.
That was cool.
The cast there is phenomenal. I love the cast at both the dock and inside the canteen. They really, really love where they are. They love their story. They love being part of it.
It was as soon as, because we were sitting there and we said, Emma loves the history. She loves all the details and history. And as soon as we said that, it's like his face lit up. He's like, oh, I got some stuff for you. And he was so proud, I think, to show everybody all this stuff. It was really cool. Very memorable. It's one of our best experiences, I think, during the trip, wasn't it? Oh, yeah. We've got these on our desk. She's got the coasters. That's right.
Oh, I still have.
Now.
Yep.
I have my Skipper Canteen mug right here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's cool. But I think that's one of our favorites, if not our favorite in Magic Kingdom now, because we had such a great experience. So, all righty. Are you ready for the next one? We're getting on a subject that you really are excited about, too. I guess another one that's a favorite. You ready? Well, close to Hattie. All right, next.
It would be beautiful. I'm a huge fan of the Haunted Mansion and the Muppet. What was it like working on the Muppet Haunted Mansion special?
So I won't forget the first meeting we had pop up. It was I would help out with our team that kind of looks over our stories. So like the Haunted Mansion and Tiki Room and Jungle, and they work with all the partners who want to use those stories. So like movies and books and games and video games and everything. And my partner, she's like my work sister. Her name is Julene. And her Jungle Cruise is Haunted Mansion. Like she has a room in her house that is just solid Haunted Mansion. She got engaged on a Haunted Mansion. Like that is her thing. And my love of Jungle Cruise, I think, is only rivaled by my love of the Muppets. Like it's just something I grew up with. I grew up right in that sweet spot with Muppet Christmas Carol and Treasure Island.
Yeah.
And then getting my girls excited about them and everything too. So when they had this pop up on our calendar, we got really excited and we walked over across the street to where the Muppet area was, and we're sitting there in a meeting with the creative team, which included Bill Beretta. And my wife's favorite Muppet is Bobo, which is like the big bear. Like, I think she would leave me for Bobo. She loves him so much. And Bill is the puppeteer behind Bobo. And so, he also does Pepe and a bunch of other characters, and Kirk Thatcher was there. And like, I'm geeking out just as a Muppet fan, like trying to contain myself. It was like one of those meetings. I had so many of those meetings when I was at Imagineering where it was just like, why am I in this room? It was like being in a meeting with like Joe Rohde. Like, why am I in this room with Joe Rohde? Now, why is Joe Rohde asking for my opinion? He's Joe Rohde. He doesn't need Kevin's opinion. But having a seat at that table was crazy exciting. And so they started talking about the possibilities and stuff. And then that was and right after that, COVID hit. And so we were doing a lot of remote stuff and things like that, and doing whatever we can. So there's a lot of all the read-throughs, all the review sessions. We did everything virtually. And but being in those read-throughs where you're looking at a Zoom meeting, and it's like it's Eric Jacobson who does like all the Frank Oz characters, and it's Matt Vogel who does Kermit, and it's like and Dave Goulds who does Gonzo, who's like my absolute favorite. Like they're sitting there and they're reading, like I'm watching the read through of the script with my camera off because I'm like freaking out. And it was amazing to be part of that, and my claim to fame, is, they're trying to figure out Imagineering cameos for it. And I'm like, well, you have to get Kim in there because, she is Madame Leota for the holidays and her mom is Leota. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, what if, and I was, whatever, I'm doing it right now. When I would pitch something stupid, if it makes me laugh, like I would go ahead and pitch it anyways. I'm like, well, what if, you have like Piggy in there, she's Leota, And then, she calls in like Kim, and Kim comes in like a mansion outfit with like a thing of Windex and like cleans the crystal ball. And they went with it. And seeing that up on the screen was pretty cool. And I'm so glad we were able to get Kim Irvine in there for that cameo. But yeah, working with, and then seeing him in the credits. If you were to tell me 10, 15, 20 years ago that my name would be in the credits of a Muppet thing, I'd punch you in the face for lying to me.
Mind blown. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm older, I guess. I remember just watching the show, the original Muppet show, and just I loved it. I mean, from the fact that they started with, well, just the guest stars they had. I mean, they had some crazy people on there, from Vincent Price, which she loves that episode.
Yeah.
To, to thinking of Steve Martin and all the rest of them. It was such a snapshot of the time, and I think this came out of left field for us, because I guess we weren't paying attention to realize that it was going to be coming until probably a few weeks, I guess, before it actually hit Disney Plus. So it was like we didn't really have a whole lot of time to be excited, but we were,
It was super cool too, because a few years ago, my wife got me tickets to see the Muppets at the Hollywood Bowl. She got me 3 tickets, so one for me and one for 2 of my Imagineering friends. And then she gave me the tickets, and then she did this art piece for me.
Oh, wow!
To line it up, and so that was the gift.
Yeah,
so I got to go see the Muppets at the Hollywood Bowl with some friends.
That's amazing.
I got an excellent job.
Yeah, she did an excellent job.
She's a pretty good artist.
Yeah. All right, are you ready now? This is the one about Hatbox. Emma's a big fan of Hatbox Ghost. Okay, so there you go. Number 8.
Why did you choose Froggy Bear to be the Hatbox Ghost? Are you a fan of the Hatbox Ghost too?
So I believe the decision to have Fozzie as Hatbox Ghost was Kirk Thatcher. He was the director of the piece and also one of the writers. The Muppet team, they really kind of hammered out the casting of where they wanted everybody. And when it comes to the Muppets, because you have performers who share multiple characters, they really have to balance like who could be in scenes together. And so I can't speak as to why they chose Fozzie as Hatbox Ghost, but it worked. And then
it did.
Yeah, I pitched a couple jokes for him, but they went with some other ones. I think mine were just too bad for Fozzie. And then you see, so that was Hatbox Ghost. I was actually part of the very early stages of bringing him back. It was it was again one of those like Muppet type efforts where it was a handful of Imagineers who wanted to make this happen, and so they were working off the clock, scrappy, like trying to figure it out. Dan Joseph, our special effects guy, had finally figured out how to make his head disappear and reappear using modern technology. And so they came to me. They're like, "Hey, we want to pitch this to Tom Fitzgerald. Can you write a story, like a background story for him?" And so I did. And when Tom read it, he said I was too dark and demented or something like that. Like my story for Hatbox Ghost was so dark, like they never would have went with it. And so it's not canon, so I won't tell it. But yeah, it was a dark, twisted, really sad story. But Hatbox Ghost is one of those legendary characters, and I'm glad to see he's grown in popularity. One of the coolest things I got to do for Hatbox Ghost was there was one of the Disney it might have been like a cast member magazine or a blog post or something, but I got to ghostwrite for the Hatbox Ghost. So when they were interviewing him, they were actually interviewing me, and I was writing for him.
You got to find that.
Yeah,
you got to look that up.
I think I might have a link to that on my website. If you go,
okay, well then we got to go do that. Then
might be on. I think it was a blog post.
She's a huge fan. Anything Haunted Mansion, and when we went, because we went in November, it was still the Christmas overlay. But she was thrilled to see that he was still there, and he just had the holly on it.
Yeah, they put a holly on his
head.
She thinks he's really cute, but she just loves it. I think you like it a lot because of the history, right? Because it was there and it wasn't there, and then it was back, and we went in 2019. I think was the 50th.
Yeah,
and I was born the same year it opened, so it was my 50th birthday that year. So we had a really good time. And her main purse that she carries around is a 50th Haunted Mansion purse.
Nice.
So she's always representing her Disney stuff.
I can go get it real quick.
No, that's okay. I'm pretty sure he would have seen it.
I bet you my friend Julene probably has it.
There you go.
She has everything else.
I have a small one.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, you're not that big. You're petite. So, all right. So you're ready for our number 9.
Can we still talk a little bit about the Hatbox Ghost still?
Well, if you have a question, I guess.
I really know you have retired from the company, but is there any way you can pick the idea? I know the Hatbox Ghost is originally in Disneyland and only in Disneyland because that's where he was started.
Right.
So you think you can talk to your old Imagineering friends who probably still work there to see if they can make like a duplicate of him and to put him in the Haunted Mansion in Florida?
I guarantee you they want to. Right? Yeah, then it always comes down to what we can do, what they can do with requests and budgets and all that stuff. But I know the team behind him would love to see him pop up other places.
She went so far, I guess, a year or so. Well, I guess after we got back, right, from Disneyland, where I worked with her. She started a petition, an online petition to have him
out there.
And it probably still is. And we were talking about it. It's like, I said, maybe they'll surprise everybody for the 50th. You never know. So I said, there's still time left in the 50th. You never know what might happen.
Well, the hard work is done, right? Daniel has figured out how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So now it's,
Now, one thing that I can't think of who it was we talked to, but I think it was Jeff Bayham with Doom Buggies, where we were saying it's like, it would be cool if he was in Florida too. And he said something, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, but it was something like, it's nice to have the differences in the two, and to keep them different and that kind of thing. I said, it's a really good argument. I mean, it makes you want to see the original because there's all that there.
Yeah.
So is there always a drive to keep those things unique? Because it seems like some of what they've done now has been more just duplication, I guess, for cost reasons and things. But
yeah, it's they're each going to have their own unique charm. And it kind of also looks at like the broader picture and also real estate too. They have they have the MC Escher room over in Florida, which is super cool, in the library, and you just don't have the real estate for that in California. And I also love the traveling swirling voice that they have in Florida.
Oh
yeah, that's fantastic. And it seems like the lowest hanging fruit to duplicate would probably be that. But it comes down to requests and how things work out and where, is at one time, if something's not broke, don't fix it. Right. And so, and if I can, if they keep, focusing on the Haunted Mansion, eventually you're going to end up with this giant beast of an attraction. And then the rest of the park is going to look, so
That's
tiny
right.
by comparison. So you really need to balance your creativity and your focus.
You see with that? Does that make sense?
I think Disney could do some more budget with other attraction sectors. Like they do with the Haunted Mansion, they could do one with the Tower of Terror.
I agree. I say more Muppets to anything.
Yes. She said the next special needs to be a Tower of Terror special.
And it could be for Halloween as well.
For Halloween as well. Emma's got some ideas, that's for sure. All righty. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to number 9. It's a little bit change of subject, but still based on the stuff that you've worked on.
They can also do one for the Jungle Cruise.
That's right. They could. All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
You were asked by Disney to write 2 children's books. Based on It's a Small World and the Jungle Cruise. How did you adapt to those stories for young children?
So those books were actually based off of another couple books we did for the Disney Parks Present series. Those are the bigger ones, about this big.
Okay.
And it's like for the Pirates of the Caribbean one in the Haunted Mansion, it's the lyrics to the songs, and they went through and they got amazing illustrators to illustrate all of them. I have them on my bookshelf in the other room. But yeah, that's a whole series called Disney Parks Presents. And then the Small World one is actually from a similar book from years before that I think kind of inspired the Disney Parks Presents series. And so the publisher I was working with, same with Eric, super guy off writing his own children's books and killing it over there. He has a book called Poultrygeist about a ghost chicken now. It's apparently pretty popular. And so he reached out to me and we were talking about board books, which are the smaller toddler books, basics like ABCs, colors, shapes. And we figured we have all this amazing artwork from our Disney Parks Presents. How can we repurpose that for the smaller books? And actually, I was on vacation with my family at Walt Disney World, and I was in line for Kilimanjaro safaris when I got the phone call with the green light. So it was a long line. So what I did is I reached my backpack and I pulled out my notepad and I started writing those. Started writing Jungle Cruise animals while I was in line for Kilimanjaro safaris. And we were able to publish those and get those out. So that was the evolution of those. And then since leaving Disney, my wife and I are now doing books. We have a book out called The Von Blowhole Miracle Sleep Method, which is about a whale going to bed. So it's a whole bedtime routine book based on a character she did. You can get that at skipperkevin.com, which is my website. And then we also, I finished up another book yesterday about apples. So she's going to go through and start illustrating those. It's nice being married to an artist. Yeah, because we can collaborate and we don't have to go out and find artists and everything. And she doesn't need to find a writer. And then I have another book in the works with a buddy of mine named Tiki Tony, who, if you're in the Tiki community, I call him the Dr. Seuss of Tiki because his designs are they're so simplistic yet ingenious in how they are. But we're doing the ABCs of adventure. So it's going to be like an alphabet book for kids. But, I can have a lot of fun with those. And I try to, you have to keep in mind that parents are the ones reading to the kids. So you want to throw some fun in there for the parents. But also, you want to teach a little to the kids.
Well, and the kids, when Emma's much older now, but when she was little and we had those board books and the reason they're board books is because these kids want to see it over and over and over again. All right. So what you do is going to stay with them. And so you want to make sure it's good for them, but it's also something, like you said, the parents could read 40,000, 1,000 times in a row.
Exactly.
So that's cool. That's really cool. All right. Well, this was the question. I think you hit on some of it, but I'm sure you got a lot else going on. You want to read that one?
Yes. You recently left Walt Disney Imagineering, but it seems that you're now busier than ever. What are you working on today?
Well, I'll tell you, this week I went through and I've been doing touch-up paint in the hallways where the kids have been dinging the paint. Let me see. We did some gardening. I'm fighting a gopher in my backyard right now that keeps digging holes. But I think I found a way to scare him off. But yeah, it's nice because I was commuting 100 miles each way to work every day. So I was spending anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours each way on my drive to work. And so, the blessing in disguise of being able to work from home is, being able to be there with my kids, with my two daughters. And so being able to cook them dinner every night is awesome. Taking my daughter to dance is great. And just think I missed so much of them growing up because of my commute. And living in California, this is where we can afford to have a house. It's that far from LA. And so that actually weighed in a lot on my decision is, being able to be here with my family. And, Disney was going back to looking at 3 days a week minimum in the office, whether it be here or in Florida. And I just, we were delivering amazing projects by working from home. And so it seemed kind of like a weird choice. But yeah, it's working on those books with my wife and my friends, which is super fun. Also helping my wife grow her business. She's a fantastic illustrator. And so she'll come to me. She has a drawing and she's like, I'm making cards. She has a whole online shop. Like I'm making cards. I need a funny caption for this. So stuff I was doing for Disney, I'm just doing for her now. And, so she's making greeting cards and notebooks and everything. But also I do a lot of wood carving. It was a way for me to, working on projects with Disney, super awesome, super cool. But at the same time, you're dealing with the realities of budget and, crazy safety restraints. And, there's a limited imagination, but there's limited funds. And everybody has notes. So it's nice to have something that you can work on that's yours. that so being able to go into my garage and carve some hippos or make a little boat model or something, super fun for me. And then I sell them because I can't just have a collection of hippos I've carved, because I would look like a crazy person.
You'd have a hippo room. That's
Yeah,
right.
I have a hippo room. So sell those off. I also try to do auctions monthly for charity. So I've raised money for primate sanctuaries, for Wild Tomorrow Fund, Give Kids the World. I always do Toys for Tots, like at the end of the year. That's just because it relates back to Walt, and it's really cool charity. I really want to support. So, and also I get to buy toys, which is just fun. I don't need to play with them, but if I can go toy shopping, that's almost as fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's keeping me busy. It's I'm a dad and husband and artist and writer and homeowner.
Yeah, I think you're busier than ever. We started when we came home. I work for a health system in San Antonio, and we were working, 5 days a week in the office, and they sent us home, and we were home for over a year, or about a year. And then they wanted us to go back, and we've been going back basically about 3 days a week up until recently, when the numbers go crazy again. But I didn't realize what I was missing until I was here.
Yeah.
Because I came here, and I might drive my wife insane sometimes, but Emma and I get to work on this kind of stuff together, and we've never done that before. So I had more time. I think I still put in more hours of work at home than I did in the office, because I had about 2 hours a day, maybe an hour and a half a day in commuting from one side of San Antonio to the other. But it was invested then at home and in things that I wanted to do. So I think quality of life in a lot of ways has been challenging, but I think in a lot of ways it's been better.
Yeah. I mean, I would wake up before my kids woke up, and I would get home just in time to put them to bed.
Yeah.
Which isn't fair to anybody.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because it's hard to drive and then come home and turn everything off.
But then I came back, and I'm working on Jungle Cruise and a handful of other projects from home, and it worked. It took a while to get used to Zoom, but once it starts cooking, and then some of my partners, they would still go into the office because there's certain disciplines that you need to go look at the model, or sound designers need to go into the recording studio, things like that. Writers, I forgot who said it, but they said it doesn't make much sense for a writer to drive in, go into an office, and then close the door to write in peace.
That's right.
Yeah.
We do. Our office does contracts. So mostly what I'm doing is reading and writing contracts. So I can kind of do that pretty much anywhere.
Yep.
So yeah, that worked out great. But it's been fun. I wouldn't trade the time anyway for the world, because Emma, I've just seen how much she's capable of doing, given the opportunity and given, to let her ideas come out. Right. It's been awesome. Oh, well, you're ready for the fun questions, so to speak.
All right.
You ready for those? All right.
The other ones weren't fun. I've been having fun.
Yeah, I think the other ones are fun too, but All right. So here's number 11. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you could have a year's supply of any Disney Park snack, what snack would it be?
Are we talking like ODV, like food carts outside?
Or it could be anything. We've had people talk about the I can't think of the name of them because we didn't get it when we were there, but the tiger tail or what?
Oh yeah.
We have people talk about that.
That's
to popcorn, to pretty much pretzels, pretty much anything. Yeah.
If I had a Dole Whip machine, I wouldn't complain.
That would be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I think Dole Whip.
Anytime, just walk in the kitchen and you're good to go.
Dole Whip would be awesome. There's an awesome caramel corn in California Adventure that not many people know, over in Buena Vista Street near the Carthay Circle. That stuff's really good. Mickey pretzels are always phenomenal. Disneyland churros but I can buy Disneyland churros at Smart and Final. They're like the brand is
Oh really?
They're just off the shelf, so I could go buy those. So nothing too special there. Yeah, I'd have to. I guess I could technically buy Dole Whip off the shelf too. I don't have the money for a machine, so if we're going to include that into my year's supply, let's bring in a Dole Whip machine and a year's supply of Dole Whip, and I'll be good.
A year's lease of a machine included. That's right. All right, was that cool? What would yours be? I haven't asked you this in a while. Do you have a new answer or what?
popcorn with milk and butter.
She's just a classic kind of popcorn person, right?
I want from Disney.
If it's not chocolate, I think it's probably popcorn for your
Yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they hit the popcorn.
But I would like to get the Mickey Hatbox Ghost popcorn bucket.
Oh, you have to scout on eBay for that one. The Mickey Hatbox Ghost popcorn bucket. We'll have to look
I
at
just
it.
sold mine.
Oh, he said he just sold his.
Yeah, because I've been selling off stuff from my old office because I don't have room for it. So I've been unpacking it on TikTok. If you follow me at Lively
yeah,
Land.
you gotta do that. You gotta check that out.
Yeah, so follow me. I've been slacking because of the holidays. But I've been unpacking all my boxes of stuff, and I had my Hatbox Ghost popcorn bucket that my buddy in Hong Kong sent me before we got them in the States, because I thought it was going to be an exclusive to only Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then right after I got it here, like they announced they were going to have them at Disneyland. I'm like, oh, thanks for sending it anyways.
We've had to go online a few times to find things she's been interested in, so we might have to do that one too. Yeah. All righty. Number 12.
If you could live in any Disney resort hotel, including one that were never built, which one would it be?
Polynesian.
That was quick and easy, huh?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That lobby is gorgeous. I've been my dining room. I have kind of like the floating. I'm doing like a miniature version of what they have for their big chandelier, one that would fit my dining room. So I've been working on that, but finding bamboo right now is kind of tough. But yeah, I love the aesthetic. I love Trader Sam's. I love Kona Cafe. Tonga toast for breakfast is the best breakfast in the resort.
And Emma's a big sushi fan too, so she can get that.
Yeah, they have some good stuff there too.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
What would your favorite be?
Polynesian.
But
is basically still continuing the contact.
She heard I think it was from Jeff again, that they had contests periodically and people would get to spend the night in the Haunted Mansion. They
had a dinner thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they ever did the sleepover, but I know they did dinner in the portrait hallway that leads to the Duomogi Disneyland.
Okay.
I think they might have had a sleepover competition once, where I think they just brought beds into one of the stretching rooms, and that was it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but there's no bathroom in there, so that would
that would be a challenge.
I guess ghosts don't need them.
You'd have to hold it. All right, you ready for number 13?
Yeah, spirits don't need to use the restroom.
Yes, but people spending the night would need to do that. Yeah. All right, here is number 13.
If you could build any Disney attraction, current existing or was never built in your backyard, which attraction would it be?
So here's a fun fact: I live north of LA, so it's in Bakersfield. It's pretty rural, but I have a really big piece of property, and I looked at Google Maps, and if I take a little bit of my neighbor's property, just like a sliver of it, I could fit the Matterhorn in my backyard.
Wow.
Matterhorn's also not that big, so don't let you look at it. But I do have a nice big chunk of property. But the Matterhorn, I haven't been able to go on that since they changed to sleds because my back is not so good.
I was saying, I think it was closed when we were there. They had some issues with the waterfall or something.
No, I think it was one of the tracks broke.
One of the tracks? Yeah, one way or another, we didn't get to ride it that time we were there. But
I've always wanted a lazy river. So if you guys want to come with some shovels and dig me a lazy river.
Gosh, yes, that would be awesome. I think Emma could live in the water too. I know I could.
I will work in the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, I think you got Haunted Mansion on the brain right now.
Yes, I want that for Christmas though. A Haunted Mansion Christmas.
Oh well, we'll see. Okay, let's go to number 14. All right.
I would build the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World and add a Hatbox Ghost and add Paul Freed and the others to help work on a Haunted Mansion and do the voiceover to come somewhere.
Oh, Emma has a thing for Paul Frees for some reason. She loves Paul Frees' voice and the stuff that he's done. So I think, if they were really spirits, you would want them to live in your Haunted Mansion, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, she's not weird or anything. All right. Here's number 14.
If you could only visit one Disney park in the world in the future, which one would you choose?
Like I could only visit that one for now on.
Yeah.
Oh, I would stick with Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I grew up. That's my home away from home. Yeah, I love Tokyo Disney Sea. It is gorgeous. I Tokyo Disneyland's great. All the parks in Florida, love them. But Disneyland, like, I can't turn my back on that. It's like turning your back on a family.
That's right.
It won't Disney family.
That's right, huh? That is a really cool one. So have you changed your mind, or is that the same?
Because I
Same.
want to be Hattie.
You want to be? Oh my goodness, you're on that track, and it's not changing, is it?
Yes, I can be a fangirl.
Yes, you are a fangirl. All right, number 15. This is the big one. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
If you could ask Walt and Roy Disney one question each right now, what will you ask them?
You know, it's such a it's an interesting question, and you know, one that comes up a lot. It's like, what would Walt think about blank? But you have to remember that there's been 50 years for Walt, and then 50 years now for Roy that they haven't experienced. So there's a lot of like nice sentimental questions you can ask, but as far as like any like practical operational or directional questions, like if they were to magically come through a Doctor Strange portal right now, to just throw that on them, like there's so much gap you'd have to fill in, right?
Yeah.
So it is a very nice romantic thought of being able to ask them, but at the same time you want to ask like what's next. Walt was that visionary that was designing a city of the future on his deathbed. And so he had those larger than life thoughts, and then Roy doesn't get enough love and respect that I think is owed to him. But asking Roy a question, I guess the question to ask them both is like, hey, do you guys want to grab dinner, right? Because then you can ask them a lot more questions when you're sitting there, and
That's right.
just to have an opportunity to have a discussion, I think I would rather listen to them talk than ask them a question, right? Like I think that's the approach I would take, because people like, hey, Walt, what attraction should we build now? Well, Walt doesn't know about the last 50, 60 years worth of amazing stories, our partners have told. Walt doesn't know what Star Wars is. Like, if you took him on Rise of the Resistance, it'd be like me the first time I went on the Transformers ride, right? Because I don't know Transformers. I didn't grow up with, it wasn't my fandom. So when I went on it, I'm like, oh, that's a cool ride. I didn't understand any of it, but it was cool and I could appreciate it. But taking Walt on there on Rise of the Resistance, which is hands down the most mind-blowing experience you could ever have, especially for a Star Wars fan, I think he'd walk off and be like, that's fantastic. I don't know what any of that was. Because the world has changed so much.
That's a good point.
It would also be nice to show him around, like, hey man, this is what it's become. But also at the same time, walking past like the tiki room, like don't take him past the tiki room, because Walt will be like, what's that still doing here? I built this in 1963. Why is this still sitting here?
It's a good point.
Have you guys updated it? Well, we cut out a couple songs. What do you mean? Like, because he was so about change and progress, and he would have bulldozed half that park like 10 times over by now. So I would be almost embarrassed to show him like where it is right now, just because he was just so gung-ho about change and an update and progress. I mean, look at Tomorrowland, how much even that changed during his short time.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So we can go on the pirate and time, because remember, Walt wasn't here when those two opened.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So those would be like brand new experiences to him. And my colleagues over the last years have done amazing things. I would love to show him some of their special effects. To show him, I think a really would be a very nice awesome thing to show him would be the Enchanted Tales with Belle like pre-show, because he's familiar with the animated classics, right? So he hasn't seen Beauty and the Beast, but you say, hey, we're walking into an animated film, Walt, and then watching that mirror just open up out of nowhere, and then you can walk through it. He would have been all about that. He would have loved that.
That was pretty amazing the first time we saw that. It was just because, okay, there's something practically happening here. But when you're watching it, you just don't even think about that.
Yep.
You're just there, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. Remember that? Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's quintessential Disney right there.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was the last question. Did you have any other short ones? Because I think we've taken up a little bit more of time probably than we planned. We're just at an hour now.
So it's kind of know where you go. Over there, it is 5.
Yeah. So do you have any other questions?
Yeah. Have y'all seen the Jungle Cruise movie?
Well, I would think so.
Have I seen the Jungle Cruise movie?
Yeah.
I was invited to the premiere, so.
Yes, he worked on the story and helped him with the story.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you knew that because we talked about it when we watched it. We watched it a couple times now.
Yeah, Dwayne and I are like this.
Oh, you're buddy.
We work out on the weekends.
There you go.
Cool.
Not really. I don't work out.
But yeah, that's pretty awesome. We watched it. My dad wanted to watch it, and my dad is in his 70s. And he's usually an action hero kind of guy. So I was like, okay, I can see the angle.
Like Marvel.
Well, just a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he really liked it. He really liked it. And I wasn't sure how he would take it because he's not a big Disney parks kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
We went when I was a kid with him a couple times, I think, but that was probably it. So he doesn't know the history and the story and all the jokes and all the rest of that stuff, but he really enjoyed it. So that was kind of neat that we all got to do that together over the holiday. I think it was when they were here, right? Probably before, around, I guess, with Thanksgiving-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Well, anything else, or you want to just say thank you? Because you definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thank you so much for coming on my show, Mr. Kind of Lively.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed being had.
This is awesome.
We'll also add a link to your website.
Oh, yeah.
And
awesome.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
We're back, guys.
We are back. What'd you think of that? That's the second time I've watched it, and there's stuff that I caught that I missed this morning. That was a wonderful interview. That was Emma and Skipper Daddy did a great job. And thank you, Kevin Lively, for taking time out of your day to talk with the girl here and her dad, right? Doing the crazy eyes for. So what did y'all think? What was your favorite part of that interview? I mean, it's hard for me to pick just one. I loved him talking about the Haunted Mansion, the Muppets, because we all watched the Muppet Haunted Mansion special twice. It was really, really cute.
The rock that from the Muppet that really surprised you in the old Muppet show, which you can find on Disney Plus.
Yes. That creepy looking. We don't know.
Dragon?
Kevin, I think isn't he a bearded dragon? Part bearded dragon? Some kind of thing. I don't know.
I like it though. Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin and I, we grew up watching the Muppet Show in the 70s. Yes, that's Mike's favorite part. The behind the scenes. Yeah, the other cute thing was when he says that he never thought he would see his name rolling in the credits. That was pretty cute.
And going to music was they following in their own.
T-Bowls, I loved all the insights into the attractions. Great job, Emma.
Thank you, T-Bowl.
I love that whole interview from Mary. I did too. It was really wonderful. Really nice man. I missed so darn much. Work was like, well, Brian, you can catch it on the replay, and as soon as we get off of here. But Emma
You can
has
always rewatch it, Brian. That's what Dennis did last time.
there's
He rewatched it.
Emma's having, talking with these people who are with or used to be employees of Disney. Emma's got another one coming up at the end of, I'm not going to say who it is. That's your and Daddy's job. That's going to be really interesting. Well, they're all interesting.
But don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, babe. So let's remind everybody what's this Saturday.
Again, this Saturday night is my Wiggins League, the old version, trivia at Epcot.
Trivia at Epcot about the living seas before Nemo and friends took it over.
Yes, I wish Disney did not collect the old art.
But you enjoyed Nemo when you first went because you were young.
I know.
And then next Wednesday and Thursday is Emma's interview with Disney Dan. And judging by that photo with the hat, I bet that was a fun interview. Wasn't it? Look at, I wish, put it back on Emma's face. Y'all can see Emma's face.
He was a very nice guy. The makers will check him out, guys.
And then on the first Wednesday.
What?
Oh,
no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm being told to shush. Okay, so what's next, sweetheart?
This is my brand new YouTube channel link on Facebook.
Your page, yes.
We also got a brand new Facebook group rename.
Yes, it was renamed as Disney Friends of All Abilities, the Talking Mickey Project. So that's the new name of the Facebook group that Emma's been having.
Which is actually being played on right now.
Right. This is being shown through there right now on Facebook. And you have to show something else, I think, right? And what's that?
That is my Talking Mickey page.
That's your webpage.
Which is talkingmickey.com.
That's right.
You can also, if you're on Facebook, you can also subscribe by going to the YouTube button on there.
That's right.
If you want to become a Patreon, you can hit the Patreon button.
Right. Patron. Very good. Anything else? Anything else? I enjoyed that video.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good night. Good night, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. What?
And guys, thank you all so much for watching. Make a like, subscribe, and share the channel with your family and friends if you haven't yet. They can call your neighbors.
Your neighbors, your cousin, your second cousin twice removed. Let's help Emma get to 400 subscribers and more. I mean, her goal is still to get to 1,000 subscribers. But let's share it with Emma's, share with your friends, your Disney friends. Hey, share it with your Universal friends. Just share it. Just share. Subscribe, and smash that like button, right?
Yeah.
I used to say boop, but Emma didn't like boop.
No. Ma.
Good night, Monica. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight and watching this wonderful interview with Kevin Lively.
Until next time, not for video guys. We're doing. Night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Ready with the land. I mean, Wednesday.